too bad here in Blair County, but take a look at this. You can see there's still some ice in this parking lot. I actually slid on my way over here.
Smitha Rao joins us live with that part of the story. Smitha.
Well, Tim, I actually live here in downtown Morehead City, so I was one of the people who evacuated my home this morning. Authorities in West Virginia say that Eric Dykman is charged with concealing the body of 62-year-old Andrew Mulvaney. They tell us that both men have ties to Carteret County. In all, about 2,400 Marines from the 24th MEU are packing their bags, heading to Haiti so they can help with relief efforts there. Now, one of the neighbors says she felt so unsafe by the pit bulls that she actually built this fence. But as you can see, this fence is pretty flimsy. And because of that, she says she still feels unsafe.
A lot of wheat wasn't even planted in eastern North Carolina because it was just too wet.
Mickey Simmons is a farmer.
Soybeans, corn, and wheat.
From Carteret County.
We planted it. It was fairly dry when we planted it, and then it went to rain. It rained about 8 or 9 inches.
He grew up on this farm and says this is the wettest fall and winter season he can remember.
It's frustrating because it's time to go to work and it's too wet to work.
That's why he's all for any help.
There's not a whole lot of money to be made out of farming to start with, and when you start out behind and frustrated, it kind of kills your spirit a little bit.
The governor sent a letter to the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture asking for a disaster designation for these 13 North Carolina counties. These counties saw a 30% or greater loss of at least one major crop. The governor hopes officials make emergency loans available to farmers.
Here you are, it's almost time to start thinking about planting again, and your fields are still wet and tore up and still too wet to get in them to do anything about it.
Farmers say the ruts in the ground you see behind me are the result of wet fall during harvest time. And they say because the ground is so wet, they can't prepare it for spring planting. Weather on the ones, meteorologists say rainfall in parts of the state was heaviest in the second half of last year. And for farmers like Simmons, they're just hoping Mother Nature cuts them a break in time for the spring harvest. The idea of jumping out of an aircraft that's 6,000 feet in the air may scare some, but others live for it. Meet the Canadian Skyhawks.
As soon as we exit the aircraft, we open up our parachute and start doing a show.
I tagged along with the team Friday morning. I got suited up.
Leave that behind?
Yeah, you should be okay.
And made my way to the aircraft. But before we hit the air, the crew told us we're in good shape.
Beautiful weather is what we need. We cannot jump if it's a cloudy or rainy day because we have to have visual and it has to be a safe landing for us to do. So this kind of weather is perfect for us.
Not all of these guys are regulars on the team. Corporal Timothy Chesnavich was picked to come along for the ride. He's only gone parachuting once before.
My first time, it was really scary.
So how did he feel after his jump?
It was awesome. Better than my first time I did. It was amazing.
Right.
After the rest of the team jumped out of the aircraft, it was back to familiar ground. And if you want to see the Canadian Skyhawks in action, just head to the air show at Cherry Point this weekend.
Coming down to North Carolina, beautiful weather. You can't complain being around here.
Reporting in the friendly skies above Cherry Point, Smitha Rao, News 14, Carolina. Connie Barner walks 8 blocks to the Bilo from her home on 8th Avenue to buy her groceries. The 64-year-old can't drive, and she's worried about how she's going to get her food when the store closes.
I don't think it's fair.
We walked with Barner to the Bilo, and it took less than 10 minutes. Barner says one of the reasons she moved to her apartment is because the Bilo was so close. The next nearest grocery store from Barner is Martin's on Chestnut Avenue. That's almost 2 miles away. She says she and her neighbors have no choice but to ask other family members to take them grocery shopping.
But I like to be independent, and I know that they like to be independent. And it's just like they've taken it away from us.
Barbara Plowman says she has the same problem.
I think it's terrible. The people need a store to go to.
Plowman lives here at the Wolf Court Apartments on 11th Avenue. And it's a little tougher for Plowman to get around because she's in a wheelchair.
It makes me feel terrible because now I'm going to have to find a way to get to Martin's. And I don't like that.
Blair Senior Services drives senior citizens to the grocery store, but we're told you can only bring 2 bags on the bus, and there's a charge for each additional bag, a cost Barner and Plowman say they just can't afford.